Salve GBA fans, it's Xilicks here, and welcome to another coach interview. Today we are going to be interviewing a very important person. He may or may not be a champion of a certain thing. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, what's up? My name is Wolfey. I am a VGC player. I'm the 2016 Pokemon World Champion in VGC, which is the official competitive format for Pokemon. I am a YouTuber. I play VGC mainly on my channel, but I do other stuff as well. I'm really excited for this draft league. I recently did a singles draft league in the WBE, and I was happy with how I did. So I'm really excited for the GBA, and I'm super honored to be invited.
And I'm sure everyone is very excited to have you. So without any further ado, let's get into the first question. So what was your very first experience with Pokemon? This can be maybe the TV show, the movies, the cards, the games.
Yeah, so it's a funny story actually. When I was a kid, my mom wouldn't, I was like, I don't know, 7, 8, 6, I don't really remember, but I was pretty young. And my mom wouldn't let me do anything Pokemon related. Like, she wouldn't let me watch the show. I think she had like a different idea about like what it was about. And so I never like played, I never saw the TV show or anything when I was growing up until back in the day, they like when you went to get your haircut, they were these like kid haircut places. And I guess because kids are like annoying and like don't like to sit still, the gimmick was like they put like there was like a TV screen there, and like the kids would watch TV so they'd like not be annoying while they got their haircut or whatever. And so I went to this haircut place, and my mom went with me because I was a little kid. I was like 5 or 6 or whatever, and they had Pokemon on the TV screen or whatever. And so I'm watching the show, and my mom was like, "Yeah, whatever, he's getting his haircut." So she watched it, and she's there with me. She's watching it with me, and it's this it's the episode of the original show where they're on a ship, and the ship is sinking. And like my mom always tells me the story, or like has told me the story, where like there's a line where they're like trying to get off the sinking ship, and they go, one of the characters, I think it's probably Brock, he's like, "Onyx, build a staircase." And my mom thought that was like hilarious, and so then I was like allowed to watch the show, and I guess I've been a big fan ever since.
That's quite the crazy coincidence, because like had you never seen that, you may not be here today. Or
Yeah, like my whole life
maybe you
could
would
have
have gotten
been
into it
different.
later.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, that was my first experience with it.
Nice. So what brought you, so that brought you into like the whole scene. What brought you into the competitive aspect?
So I actually played the trading card game for a while, from like probably like 6 or 7 years when I was growing up. But in terms of like Pokemon battling in general, like on the video game, I always like loved the games, and I always like was really interested by them, and so like I'd always like been a big fan. And in Generation 4, like Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, I found out that you could like play online, and so I didn't really know anything about like Pokemon or like the sites or whatever. So I I somehow found Cerebi, I guess, like because I was like looking for information, and there were like forums there, and I found out that there was like a battling forum, and so there was like you could play against other people on the internet, and like through the friend code system and the Wi-Fi. And you could also, oh, it was something else too. It was like they had like this league where you could play, like they had like set up like gym leaders and then like an elite four and whatever. And I thought that was like super fun. So that was like kind of when I learned about competitive battling, and like I learned about like EVs and stuff, and eventually I learned about IVs, and just like through Smogon and Cerebi and stuff. And so yeah, like I actually started out as like I played singles for a while, and the only reason I even got into like official competitions, like VGC competitions, is because I was on Smogon, and I like played singles there. And I would like, this is like Gen 5, like beginning of Gen 5, I was still playing singles, like Gen 4, Gen 5. And then I was on Smogon, like just looking at stuff, and there was like a tournament sub forum, and I clicked on it because I thought it was cool. And there was like a thread for like actual like events in person, and one of them was like 40 minutes from my house. And so I went to that tournament in 2011, and I ended up winning that. And then from there, I just kind of snowballed. Like I won nationals that year, and I got 6th at Worlds in VGC. So it kind of just like took off, like without me really intending to. Like I didn't start playing competitive singles until like my 7th or 8th grade year, and then I played VGC and like won nationals in my 9th grade year. So it was like a really quick jump into competitive battling.
So once you got that first taste of winning, you just wanted to take over the entire world.
Well, not so much that, but like I don't think my parents, I'm like really lucky that my parents are supportive of like have always been supportive of like me and my hobbies and stuff.
Right.
But I don't think they would have like paid for me to go to Indianapolis for nationals if I hadn't won. But by winning, not only did I win a trip for myself, but also like I wanted, back then you would just win trips, and if you won the tournament. And so because I won regionals, they paid for me to go to nationals. They paid for my mom, like got a hotel room and everything. And because I won nationals, they paid for me to go to worlds. And same deal the next year. I won nationals the next year and got 2nd at regionals, and that year was in Hawaii. And so that was like really nice. And then I got 2nd at worlds that year, so I got to go to Vancouver for free. So all that was like free and paid for. And so I only had to go to
That's
one
awesome.
tournament in DC and one tournament in Philly. And those I live at DC, so it was like pretty close to me. So yeah.
Mhm. All right, so how did you get started out creating content, and like what type of content would you describe that you make?
I primarily make bad content, I think. I like always joke that I only recently, shout outs to Bill Standish actually. He does a lot of work for the league, but I like have been playing like I've been like in my last like several videos, I haven't even had like an overlay because I had no space on my computer, and so I cleared out my whole downloads folder. So in terms of content creation, I like the thing is that like I don't want to make content that's not like fun for me to make. Like I want to be enjoying everything that
Of
I
course,
create.
yeah.
So I do a lot of VGC stuff, but I'm a student in school and like I take a lot of credits and like I'm like busy at school, so I don't always like record that frequently. But I try to make sure that I put up things that like are fun for me to like to do and also fun for people to watch. So I think as a content creator, like I'm not very professional. In terms of VGC, like the two biggest content creators are like myself and Aaron Zhang, Cybertron, and his style is like very informative, like very professional, like really well put together, really organized, like. And I kind of provide a different side than that, where my content is more like scattered and like I try to be genuine, like on when I'm recording and stuff, and I think I do a pretty good job. But just as like an individual, I'm kind of like I'm fast and I talk fast, and I'm like kind of all over the place sometimes, and so as like I feel like that's kind of the same kind of content that I make, where like sometimes I'll like and I do other stuff as well, like other than just VGC, like I make videos where like I have friends on, like I really like to work with other people because that's always fun. So I'll do like some single stuff, and I'll do like I used to do like roulette VGC matches where it was just like VGC format, but the Pokemon you got randomized, and like now I'm doing singles battles as well. So it's kind of I make informative content as well. Like I try to make guides and stuff, which is like some of my more serious content, and I try to talk like every once in a while I'll put out a video talking about like really serious competitive stuff, where like kind of more in depth, more higher level stuff. But a lot of it's just kind of me playing Pokemon and me having fun and me making bad moves and being ridiculous and stuff.
Yeah, I've seen some of your videos where you try out like some kind of crazy strategies. There was one with like a Snorlax where you powered it up. And then,
that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So
yeah, it was like speed swap and then transform Smeargle, so you have like a 334 stat Snorlax with like +6 attack, and like it was ridiculous. Yeah, but that was a lot of fun.
So you use a lot of ridiculous moves in VGC and in the draft format. So what are your personal thoughts on the new Generation 7 move tutors?
I feel like my perspective is like very different than a lot of single battlers, because like when I think of the move tutors, I'm like, okay, Feeny gets Icy Wind, that's huge. And like also like the thing is that in VGC we're only allowed to use Pokemon that have like we're only allowed to use Pokemon that were caught in or like bred in Alola, and so because of that, like I think single battlers, like you guys never lost your old tutors, but for us, like we weren't able to use, like for example, last season there was what's a good example? Like we had Gastrodon. That's a really good example. So Gastrodon learns Earth Power through tutor, and like Gen 4 tutor, Gen 6 tutor. Probably Gen 5. Like it's always had this tutor, right? But we VGC players, we couldn't use Earth Power and Gastrodon because there wasn't a tutor in Alola that learned that for any move tutor, so we couldn't even use Earth Power Gastrodon last year. So people had to use like Earthquake with Z Ground or Earth Power, or Hidden Power Ground, which is like both kind of ridiculous options. So like that's kind of in general my perspective on tutors. In VGC, Icy Wind's a huge one. Feeny getting Icy Wind is really big. Tailwind is big. Kartana getting Z Tailwind is like really big in VGC. Ally Switch is all over the place. And yeah, honestly, I haven't been playing that much VGC, and so the singles that I've done has also been like pre Ultra Sun Ultra Moon, so I don't know a ton about it, but so far Icy Wind is big. All the speed control options are big. Icy Wind, Tailwind. Ally Switch, some more stuff gets Helping Hand, but those are all like doubles options. So in singles, I know everything gets defog now, which is
a lot of defog.
Yeah, a lot of defog. So I don't know about like, I mean, I think Laser Focus is a move, so that's kind of funny, but I don't think it's very good. So yeah, I don't really know too much about the tutors in singles, unfortunately.
I mean, you mentioned defog. Didn't you learn a bit about that move in your previous league?
Oh my god! So the problem is that my team was like really weak to Stealth Rocks. Like I had three flying types, and like Stealth Rocks was just a problem for my team. But my only defogger was Pelipper. Like, and I didn't have any Rapid Spin users. So I also now know that defog gets rid of screens, which is fun. Did not know that.
Saw that.
Yeah, that was not my brightest moment. But yeah, defog is a good move as long as Pelipper isn't the Pokemon that has to use it, I think. So spoilers. Actually, I probably shouldn't say. But yeah. Yeah, defog is good, and I'm glad more things get it, because dealing with Stealth Rocks with my only defogger being Pelipper was like really annoying. So
yeah, so it opens up your options.
Yeah.
So, do you think you have a certain strategy when it comes to battling? So, in singles, obviously we have like stall, hyper offense, bulky offense. Would you care to explain, maybe some of the strategies you have when it comes to VGC and then also singles as well?
Yeah, so you can't really stall in VGC. I mean, this year for the first time it was possible because we used to have like a timer that was like 15 minutes per game, and you would play best of 3 sets. But this year the timer was like they changed it, and it was 50 minutes for the whole for all 3 games, and there wasn't an individual game timer. So there were some strategies based around like Chansey and like guard split and minimize with Carbink that was like pretty annoying. So but other than that, for the most part, we don't really have stall in VGC. It doesn't really exist. I typically play like very defensive, and it's actually a problem where like I like know that like in my playstyle I need to, and I've gotten better at, but I like need to add more power and more offense. Like not famously, but like my worst run at Worlds was in 2013 when I got 25th, and I think I had 12 EVs total in attack and special attack across my whole team combined. Like I invested completely in bulk, and that was like a stall team. It was like 3 toxic Pokemon, which in VGC was like at the time pretty unheard of. And yeah, it was very defensive. And so since then, like I really value growth and I really value improvement. And so like I've like gotten better at adding more offense on my team. So I think ideally I'd like to play like a very defensive, bulky offense kind of style. And I think that's like when I did eventually win Worlds, I think something I did well was like I had the power on the team naturally, just because like that was a format where we were allowed to use like Pokemon that are typically classified as Ubers and singles. And so I had the power, but I also had like a very defensive, I play very positionally. I think a lot about like not necessarily what's just going on the field, but also like where I'm trying to go in a few turns. And so moves like fake out, abilities like intimidate are some of my favorites. Things that like trying to lock down options. So like safeguard is a move I like, wide guard is a move I like, feint, moves like, yeah. So basically like I like to play very board control-esque. I'm well known in VGC for using Perish Trap, which is a strategy based around like the move Perish Long and then Shadow Tag Pokemon. So you're not actually doing any damage in that situation for the most part. You're mainly just using Perish Song and then stalling until their Pokemon faint. So that's kind of like one of my favorite strategies, just because it fits my playstyle really well. Which is, so I guess in summary, like I'm very positional based. I'm very like defensive by nature. I really like recovery moves. I really like recovering in general. I really like slowing the pace down. I like to make my opponents play my game versus trying to play the same game with my opponents. If that makes sense. And that's also a weakness of mine, because in some formats you have to play faster, you have to play more aggressive. Right. VGC changes every year, so each year is a different format and essentially a different game as well. So that was a lot, but that's kind of my thoughts.
So do you think that translates to singles as well? Like you prefer the utility options? Because I saw you were using rain sweeping a lot, which is kind of in that same I guess areas, like stuff like Trick Room and stuff, whenever you're manipulating speed and your different offensive and defensive options.
Yeah, so I actually didn't draft most of my team. I think I drafted like it was like 11 Pokemon. I drafted like Sliggoo, Girder, Aromatisse, Ludicolo. Those are the 4 Pokemon like I ended up drafting. So it was like, and those are all very defensive Pokemon, at least in my mind. Like I mainly used Assaultvest Ludicolo, which is like typically a bulkier Pokemon. So I don't think it necessarily translated into what I drafted, but definitely how I played them. I think that's like part of why I did well in the WBE, is like because I was given offensive Pokemon and then I had to find a way to make them work defensively. So like there was only 1 week where I brought like Pelipper and then all my rain sweepers, like Kingdra, Ludicolo, Swampert. Like I did that once and I didn't even win that week. And so for the most part I would bring like Pelipper to protect my Ferrothorn, who's like a very defensive Pokemon, and I would bring Landorus T like as a bulky set, and I would have Intimidate on him, and Mega Swampert, typically a sweeper. I would use like bulky, like a lot of bulk on him, and I'd give him rest to recover, and I would put like leftovers in Ferrothorn. I like Wish on Aromatisse and Protect and Heal Bell on Aromatisse sometimes, and like Sliggoo is like super bulky, so I'd use that. So Gengar was typically like an offensive Pokemon, but even then, like I would sometimes I'd put bulk on him as well. And so basically, like rather than focusing on like KOing my opponents like immediately, I would just focus on like having a better overall bulk and like synergy overall. And like for every one of their Pokemon, I wanted to make sure I had like a couple counters to it. So I think not necessarily in what I drafted, but definitely in the way I used the Pokemon. Yeah, I think it was like a good representation of my style, especially once I got the hang of it. Once I started getting the hang of my team and of how Draft League Singles was working like with that specific team.
So hopefully with this upcoming draft, maybe you would have learned some things from WBE where you can improve. So the next question is, what do you think the best parts make up a good draft?
I personally really don't like 4x weaknesses in Draft League, and that was a problem with WBE because for Pokemon I brought Swampert, Swampert, Landorus, Pelipper, and Ferrothorn almost every single week, and they all have a 4x weakness. And so like something I like really didn't like about that was like every single time when I had one of those Pokemon in, I'd have to be like, do they have hidden power Fire? Do they have hidden power Electric? You know, and some of my opponents did bring electric moves. Like one time an opponent brought Natural Gift, Wackenberry Scissor to OHKO my Pelipper, and he didn't end up using it because I think I threw Pelipper away regardless. But like still it was there. And like one time somebody brought like Hidden Power Electric Heatran, and like those are things that you just like can't like cover for. And so I think having Pokemon with 4x weaknesses can be like really annoying. And so it's like something I tried to avoid, or like I plan on avoiding in like future draft leagues. Just in general, is that I really don't like Pokemon that like have because like you can just slap Hidden Power or like a coverage move on it, and like you won't know until it's too late. So that's kind of like a personal thing that I try to avoid, and like making sure like in general like that like something I really hated about WBE was like I mean I was pretty much bringing Pelipper every week regardless, but the fact that I had no option of getting rid of Stealth Rocks other than Pelipper, and the fact that Pelipper was 4x weak to just 2x weak to Rock, so like it took 25% from Stealth Rock just for switching in, and it's not like a super bulky Pokemon already. That was like really annoying. So I want to make sure that I have better options to remove hazards going forward.
So just like generally good hazard clear, less weaknesses.
Yes, yeah, like not having. I mean, like weaknesses in general are okay as long as you can cover them, but having 4 Pokemon that you're bringing every week being 4x weak to something is like so bad for like anxiety, because like you're facing something like you really should beat, but you're like, wait, if they have like a weird hidden power on this, I could actually lose, you know, and that's just stressful, and I don't need that in my life.
Part of that as well, though, if you think about it, for them team building, they may run into the issue of, oh, well, I want, you know, this hidden power for that, but I want this hidden power, and then, you know, they can only run 1 hidden power per mon, and so they could run into an issue where they run electric on one, fire on one, and grass on the other, and they may not be in on it at the certain time. So it can be bad, but it can also have its benefits from time to time.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's like an information game. So like sometimes like I would I'd have to play defensive, or like I'd have Ferrothorn in, and I'd be like, I'm gonna switch out here, and like because either they don't have hidden power fire, and like if they don't, then they should really switch out, or if they do have hidden power fire, then like I'll learn it right now. And for the most part, that like worked pretty well.
All right, so if you are ready, we are going to enter the lightning round, where I'll basically ask a question, and without thinking, just give the first answer that pops in your mind. They will be multiple choice.
Okay.
So
sounds good.
Kalos or Alola?
Kalos is Gen 6. I like Alola. I hate that stupid. Oh my god, what was it? Oh my god, it was the stupid city with the stupid taxi cabs, and you couldn't. It was so hard to get around, and you need to go at like places. Oh my god, I hate that city. Yeah, I'll take Alola. I'll take Alola for 500. I don't want to deal with that stupid light house. Eiffel Tower again. I hated it.
Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon?
Ultra Sun.
Attack or special attack?
Special attack.
Defense or special defense?
Defense.
Tailwind or Trick Room?
Trick Room.
Showdown or Cartridge?
Cartridge.
Gyms or Trials?
Gyms.
Sweep or Stall?
Stall.
Thunderwave, Toxic, or Will-O-Wisp?
Ooh, Will-O-Wisp.
Electric, Misty, Psychic, or Grassy Terrain?
Grassy Terrain.
Defog or Rapid Spin?
I never used Rapid Spin. I'm taking Rapid Spin.
And then for the final one, GG or Rage Quit?
GG.
I think GG's the classy answer.
Yeah.
All right,
I don't want to make it super mad. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, some people, they like to click X as fast as possible, and, you know, others, they'll give their opponent the time of day.
Yeah.
So, thanks for doing this interview. To all the fans watching, make sure to go check out Wolfey's channel, as he will be part of our season, and it's great to have you.
Yeah, I'm honored to be here. I'm really looking forward to it.
So, yep. Make sure to subscribe to the GBA channel as well to keep updated on all of the content, and I'll see you guys next time. Okay, thanks, bye.
Peace.